The night was quiet in the frozen lands of Alaska. Snow lay heavy on the ground, and the sky was dark except for the faint glow of the stars. Inside a small building on the edge of the tundra, a listening station kept its watch. Computers hummed, screens flickered, and antennas reached into the sky, waiting for whispers from space. Elena Rhodes sat in her chair, tired but alert. She had been working for 12 hours straight, scanning for patterns among the noise of the universe. Most nights were empty, only static, only silence. But tonight was different. Tonight, she heard something. At first, it was faint, like a heartbeat buried deep inside the static, a sound too regular to be random. She leaned closer, eyes fixed on the screen. The line of numbers repeated, then vanished, then returned. It was there, then gone, always coming back like a signal calling from far away. Her assistant, Mark, noticed the change in her face. "What is it?" he asked. She did not answer right away. Her hand shook as she adjusted the controls. The pattern grew clearer, stronger. The numbers were not noise. They were precise, too perfect to be nature. "This is a signal," Elena whispered. Her voice was soft, almost afraid. "It's not from Earth." Mark frowned. "A new satellite?" he suggested, but Elena shook her head. She had mapped every satellite, every orbit. This was something different. This was older, stranger, something no human had made. The signal repeated again, each cycle exactly 7 hours apart. The message was wrapped in rhythm, like a code waiting to be opened. Elena recorded it, replayed it, and the more she studied, the more certain she became. This was not an accident. This was deliberate. Hours passed. Scientists from other stations were called. Soon, experts from universities across the world were watching the same data. The signal was real. It was not an error, not interference. It was a voice from the stars. And yet, hidden within the code, one thing became clear. It was not meant for humans. Deep inside the structure of the numbers, Elena found a fragment of text. Her computer translated it, and the words froze her blood. Not for humans. No one in the room spoke. The silence was heavier than the snow outside. The signal had come to them, but it was not for them. Still, the world could not ignore it. Within days, the news spread. Governments demanded answers. Military satellites were redirected. Secret labs began decoding the message. Every nation wanted to know what the signal carried. Some believed it was a gift, a chance for humanity to leap forward. Others feared it was a trap, a warning left behind by something far more powerful. But curiosity won. Humans could not turn away. Elena stood by her monitor late at night, staring at the glowing lines of code. She knew this was dangerous. She knew they were listening to something forbidden, yet she could not stop. The pull was too strong, the mystery too great. In her dreams, she saw doors opening, stars bending, ships flying through impossible space. The signal whispered of things beyond human reach, and every time it played, she felt the same chill, the words repeating silently in her mind. Not for humans. And yet humans had heard it. In the dark of space, far beyond Earth's reach, something stirred. The signal had been a call, a message meant for another species, but humans had intercepted it, and by hearing it, by touching it, they had already changed the future. Elena did not know it yet, but tonight was the first step in a story that would carry all of humanity into danger, into wonder, into war. The signal was never for humans, but humans had claimed it, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same. The signal did not stay hidden for long. Once Elena Rhodes shared her discovery. It spread like fire. Governments copied it, private labs stole it, hackers downloaded it, and students whispered about it on secret networks. The sound of the signal could be played on any computer, but to most people it was nothing more than strange noise. Only those who studied it closely could see the truth behind it. Teams of experts from every corner of the world worked day and night. They layered the code, broke it apart, and rearranged it. What they found shocked even the most logical minds. The signal was not only sound, it was instruction, it was blueprints. At first, nobody believed it. How could a stream of numbers carry knowledge? But as more pieces were unlocked, pictures began to appear, machines that bent rules of physics, devices that could twist energy, engines that could break gravity itself. Humanity had never seen such designs before. and yet here they were hidden in the rhythm of a voice from the stars. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Some scientists wept at the elegance of it. Some refused to believe it could be real. Others felt fear in their bones. They remembered the warning inside the code. 3 words repeated like a shadow. Not for humans. But curiosity was a drug, and humanity was already addicted. No government wanted to stop. Each one thought, if we do not take this, another will. And so, the race began. In a small apartment in Mumbai, a young student named Arjun Patel stayed awake night after night. His eyes burned from the glow of his old laptop. His family thought he was wasting time, but Arjun saw patterns no one else had. He was not the strongest, not the smartest, but he was patient. He believed the signal was speaking to him. And one night, it did. Arjun cracked a hidden layer of the code. His screen lit up with a design so complex it felt alive. It was not a picture but a guide, a set of instructions that could build a machine unlike anything Earth had ever seen. He gasped as the lines unfolded, and there in the corner of the diagram were the same chilling words, not for humans. He should have stopped. He should have closed his laptop, but instead he sent the file to an online forum. Within hours, thousands of copies had spread across the web, and by morning, military agencies already had it in their secure labs. By then it was too late to contain. The world had seen the gift or the curse. In Washington, generals stared at the design with hungry eyes. They saw weapons, they saw power, they saw victory over every rival nation. In Beijing, engineers whispered of energy beyond coal, beyond oil, beyond even nuclear fire. In Moscow, scientists tested simulations of engines that could cross the solar system in days. Each nation dreamed of dominance. None remembered the warning. Elena Rhodes watched this with despair. She had been the first to hear the signal. But now it had been taken from her hands. She knew humans were not ready. She knew the danger, but nobody listened. No one wanted to close the box once it was open. On television, leaders spoke of progress and hope, but behind closed doors, the laboratories worked in silence. Secret machines were built in underground bases. Soldiers were trained to use technology they did not understand. The signal had become the center of human ambition. And still, the message pulsed through the sky. Every 7 hours, repeating without end. Elena listened late one night. And for the first time, she thought she heard a change. The rhythm was faster, sharper, like a heartbeat quickening. She wondered if the sender knew. She wondered if someone far away realized that humans had taken what was not theirs. If she had known the truth, she would have screamed for the world to stop. But it was already too late. The signal had been decoded, the machines had been imagined, and humanity had stepped onto a road that could never be walked back. The warning echoed again in her mind. 3 simple words that had followed every blueprint, every diagram, every discovery. Months passed since the alien signal first echoed across the Earth. The world had changed in silence. Governments worked in secret. Engineers labored in hidden hangars, and scientists unlocked designs that should never have been touched. The blueprints had promised miracles, and humanity was too hungry to resist. In a desert base under the burning sun of Nevada, a team of engineers stood before something impossible. It was tall, sharp, and gleaming under the floodlights, a machine that bent the eye and made the air shimmer around it. The first human-built craft created from alien designs. They called it Project Dawn. Elena Rhodes had been invited to observe, but she felt no pride, only dread. She walked into the hangar with her badge pressed tightly to her chest. Around her stood generals, politicians, and corporate men in dark suits. Their eyes glittered with greed. They did not see danger, only power. The machine was not like any human ship. Its frame curved in ways metal should not bend. Its engines pulsed with energy that had no name. Even switched off, it felt alive like a heart waiting to beat. Soldiers whispered that it made their teeth ache just standing near it. Today, announced General Harlow, his voice echoing in the hangar. We prove humanity has stepped beyond its limits. He smiled as if he had already won, as if victory over the universe itself belonged to him. Elena clenched her fists. She remembered the warning hidden in the code. 3 words carved into every diagram. Not for humans. She wanted to shout, to beg them to stop, but her voice was drowned in the roar of celebration. The test began. Lights flickered. Alarms hummed. The machine's core lit up with a glow that was not fire, not electricity, not nuclear flame. It was something older, deeper, like a star caught in a cage. Energy rippled through the hangar, bending shadows, twisting the air. And then it moved, not forward, not upward, but sideways into a place that should not exist. For a moment, the ship flickered between here and somewhere else. Space bent around it, and every person watching felt their stomachs twist as if falling into a hole without end. Mark, Elena's assistant, whispered. It worked. His voice trembled, not with joy, but with fear. The ship returned with a crash of thunder. The hangar shook. Metal beams groaned. Soldiers covered their ears as a ringing filled their skulls. When the light finally dimmed, the machine stood exactly where it had been, but the air around it was different, colder, as if it had touched something far away and carried the chill back with it. The generals clapped. Politicians shook hands. Engineers wiped sweat from their brows and smiled. Humanity had taken its first step beyond the laws of its own world. They saw triumph. They saw power. But Elena saw something else. She stared at the monitors, at the shifting code pouring across the screens. The alien signal had changed. Its rhythm no longer steady, no longer calm. It was faster, sharper, a warning pulse racing through space, as if someone, somewhere, had felt the machine awaken. Far beyond Earth, in the deep black between the stars, something stirred. The signal was not just a message. It was a watchtower. And by building the machine, humans had lit a fire for all the galaxy to see. Elena pressed her hand to the glass of the control room. Her breath fogged the window as she whispered, "We have been seen." No one listened. The generals were already planning fleets. The politicians were already writing speeches. The world was too blind to the danger it had unleashed. That night, when Elena closed her eyes, she dreamed of ships moving in the dark. Shadows with eyes like burning suns. She heard voices not meant for human ears, whispering across the void. The words were always the same, cold and final. Not for humans. And though she woke with her heart racing, she knew the truth. Humanity would never stop. The first machine had been built, and more would follow. One door had been opened, and it would never close. But somewhere in the endless night, the true owners of the signal had turned their gaze toward Earth, and they were coming. The world celebrated the first machine. Governments declared a new age. News channels called it humanity's greatest victory. But while Earth cheered, the stars watched in silence. Something had noticed, something had awakened. It began with strange events in the sky. Satellites lost contact without reason. Telescopes caught glimpses of shadows moving where no planets should be. Astronomers argued it was error, but the truth came soon. It was not error, it was approach. Elena Rhodes could feel it. Every time the signal pulsed through the receivers, the rhythm had changed. It no longer carried quiet instruction. It carried intent. She sat at her office one night, staring at the pattern flashing across her monitor. Her heart sank as she whispered, "They are coming." Weeks later, the skies answered. The first ships appeared without warning, not falling from space like meteors, but sliding into existence as if reality itself bent to let them through. They were vast and silent, dark shapes with lines of pale light running like veins across their surfaces. They hovered above Earth's orbit, watching. Fear spread faster than fire. Planes were grounded. Cities froze. People looked up and saw shadows moving across the night sky. For the first time in history, all of humanity felt the same chill. Governments scrambled to respond. The military prepared its weapons. Fighters circled in the air, missiles armed. But the alien ships did not strike. They did not fire. They only transmitted one message, a single sentence broadcast to every screen, every radio, every device across Earth. The signal was not for you. The words appeared in every language at once, carved into human minds with clarity no translation system could match. Silence followed, a silence so deep that even the busiest cities of Earth held their breath. Inside the Pentagon, generals debated attack plans. In Beijing, leaders argued for surrender. In Moscow, voices demanded patience. But no one truly understood what the visitors wanted. The only thing clear was their anger. Elena was invited to a secret council. The room was filled with men and women in power. They looked at her as if she carried the answer to survival. But she had no answers, only fear. "We should stop," she told them. "Destroy the machines, leave the signal, walk away before it's too late." But the politicians shook their heads. The military men frowned. Power was too sweet. They had tasted it, and they would not let it go. "We cannot go back," General Harlow said. "If we surrender, we are prey. If we stand, we are rivals." The council decided humanity would not return what it had taken. Instead, they would prepare for conflict. In the days that followed, the alien ships remained above Earth, never moving, never speaking again. They were patient, too patient. It was not the patience of peace, but the patience of hunters waiting for prey to move. Ordinary people lived in terror. Some prayed, some rioted, some built shelters in their basements. Conspiracy groups filled the web with theories. Some believed the aliens were gods. Some said they were demons. Some whispered that humans had stolen their crown. Elena knew the truth was simpler. Humanity had touched a signal that belonged to someone else. And now, the owners had arrived to take it back. Late one night, she sat by her window, watching the alien shadows drift across the stars. Her chest tightened with the weight of it all. She thought of the words that haunted her since the beginning. "Not for humans." She whispered it into the empty room, but the silence gave no comfort because she knew the next step was coming. The aliens had spoken once, and when they spoke again, the world would never forget. The arrival had changed everything. Humanity had wanted to step into the stars, but now the stars had stepped onto Earth, and the game was no longer in human hands. The alien ships did not leave. They circled above Earth like silent predators, unmoving, unblinking, waiting for weeks. Humanity lived under their shadow. Cities grew quiet, trade slowed, and fear became the air people breathed. Every eye looked up, wondering if today would be the day fire fell from the sky. Governments argued endlessly. Some demanded surrender. Others demanded resistance. The world split into factions. On one side were those who wished to return the machines and beg for mercy. On the other side were those who saw only power, determined to fight for what they had stolen. Dr. Elena Rhodes was caught in the center of it all. She attended endless meetings where leaders shouted across tables. She watched scientists push to design weapons from alien blueprints faster and faster. She listened to generals boast that humanity would never bow. Yet in her heart, she knew none of them understood what they faced. The aliens had spoken only once. Their message had been simple and final. The signal was not for you. No threats, no demands, no explanations. But the silence that followed felt heavier than words, as if the galaxy itself was holding its breath. In secret labs, engineers worked on the machines. More ships like Project Dawn were built, faster, stronger, each one reaching further into the unknown. But with every new creation, the alien signal pulsed louder, the rhythm sharpened like a drumbeat of war. Among the chaos, a quiet movement began. Not soldiers, not politicians, but ordinary people, scientists, engineers, dreamers. They came together in hidden places across the world. They believed humanity did not need to fight with stolen tools. They believed humanity could make its own path. One of them was Arjun Patel, the student who had first cracked the hidden layer of code. He contacted Elena in secret. His voice shook when he spoke through the encrypted line. "We cannot keep building their machines. We need something new, something human." Elena hesitated. She had seen the greed in governments, the hunger in generals. But when she looked into Arjun's tired eyes, she felt hope again. Perhaps humanity did not have to be thieves. Perhaps humanity could be creators. Together, they gathered minds from every corner of Earth. Men and women who believed survival would not come from copying alien power, but from blending it with human will. In an abandoned warehouse, they began their work. They studied the blueprints, but did not follow them fully. Instead, they asked new questions, twisted the designs, broke them apart. They mixed alien knowledge with human imagination. The result was messy, imperfect, fragile, but it was theirs. The first prototype was a small engine. no larger than a suitcase. It shook violently when activated, sparks flying. Yet in those sparks was something alien and something human, a fusion neither side had intended, a machine born not from obedience, but from defiance. As the weeks passed, the group grew. What began as whispers turned into a hidden network. They called themselves the Horizon Project. Not a fleet, not a weapon, but a choice, a future. Their goal was simple: to show the aliens that humanity was not a child playing with stolen toys, but a species ready to write its own story. Meanwhile, the governments prepared for war. Fleets of alien-designed ships were tested in deserts, oceans, and orbit. Soldiers trained to use weapons they barely understood. Humanity stood on the edge of a blade. One side surrender, the other side destruction. Elena stood between the two paths, her mind heavy with the weight of the decision. She knew the aliens would not wait forever. She knew the day was coming when Earth would be forced to answer the silent threat in the sky. That night, as she looked up at the stars, she felt the choice pressing down on her chest. Humanity could surrender and live as prey. Humanity could fight and be destroyed, or humanity could do something no one expected. Create, not copy, build, not steal. The choice would decide everything, not only Earth's survival, but its place in the galaxy. And somewhere above, in the silent alien ships, unseen eyes watched and waited, patient, cold, ready to judge the path humanity would take. The day finally came when silence could no longer hold. The alien ships moved for the first time, shifting in Earth's orbit like shadows waking from sleep. Their dark surfaces rippled with light, and the world below froze in fear. Humanity had waited weeks under their gaze, but now the moment of judgment had arrived. The governments of Earth reacted with speed. Fleets of alien-built ships lifted from hidden bases. Soldiers strapped into cockpits that hummed with stolen energy. Generals barked orders through trembling voices. The skies above Earth filled with machines born from a signal never meant for humans. Dr. Elena Rhodes stood in the command center of Project Dawn. Her eyes locked on the monitors. She saw the alien ships unfold like wings across the stars, vast and endless. Their scale dwarfed everything humans had made. "We cannot win," she whispered, but no one listened. Then, something unexpected happened. Before the first missile could be launched, before the first fighter could break orbit, a different signal echoed across the sky. It was not alien, it was not the stolen code, it was something new. The Horizon Project had activated their creation. Hidden deep in the ocean, a ship unlike any other rose from the waves. Its hull shone with imperfect welds. Its engines sputtered with unstable light. But it was alive in a way no alien craft was. It was human. The ship climbed into the sky, dragging a trail of white steam. Its systems roared with a mix of alien power and human invention. The world watched in shock. Even the aliens seemed to pause, their endless silence broken by curiosity. Inside the ship, Captain Isaiah Ward gripped the controls, his voice calm, steady. "We are not your prey," he spoke into the void. "We are not your thieves. We are your equals." His words were carried across the horizon's new signal, a message stronger than weapons. The alien fleet stirred, lights rippled across their ships, as if answering the defiance. For the first time, humanity had spoken back, not in stolen language, but in its own. Elena felt her heart surge with both fear and pride. Humanity had chosen to stand, not with the weapons of its enemies, but with something it had made itself. The Horizon ship banked hard, testing its new engines. In one blinding flash, it vanished, reappearing miles away in a heartbeat. The impossible had become possible. The generals in their war rooms shouted. Some demanded it join their fleet. Others demanded it be destroyed before it exposed their secrets. But none of them could stop it. The Horizon had already taken flight, and its message had already been heard. The alien fleet shifted again, their massive forms tilting as though studying the fragile human creation. For a long moment, they did nothing. They did not fire. They did not flee. They only watched. Then, one of the alien ships broke formation. It moved closer to Earth, closer to the horizon. Its presence was crushing, its shadow blotting out the stars. Every human heart clenched, waiting for the first strike. But the strike never came. Instead, a single pulse of light rippled from the alien vessel. It was not the old signal, not the words "not for humans." It was something new, unreadable, a response to humanity's defiance. Elena leaned closer to her screen, her voice trembling. "They are listening," she whispered. For the first time, they are listening. The moment was fragile, balanced like glass on a blade. Humanity had no idea what the aliens would do next, but one thing was certain. The galaxy had heard Earth's voice, and for the first time, humanity was no longer silent. The world held its breath as the horizon floated before the alien fleet. The ocean-borne ship was fragile compared to the massive forms that surrounded it, yet it carried something greater than size or strength. It carried defiance. For days, humanity had expected fire. They had prepared for war or surrender. But neither came. Instead, the alien vessels circled slowly, watching, measuring. Their silence felt less like judgment now, and more like curiosity. Inside control centers across Earth, generals demanded answers. Politicians shouted about strategy, but outside their walls, ordinary people stared at the sky with a strange new feeling. For the first time, hope flickered, fragile but real. Elena Rhodes had not slept for days. She watched every transmission, every pulse of alien light, every movement of the horizon. Her heart pounded with each second. She had feared humanity's greed would destroy them. Yet here stood proof that a different choice was possible. Humanity had created something new. The aliens responded again, not with weapons, but with signals, complex waves of light and sound stretched across the void. Their meaning was unclear. No human system could translate it fully. But one thing was certain: the message was not rejection, not threat. It was conversation. Captain Isaiah Ward stood on the bridge of the horizon, his hands steady on the console. "They're testing us," he said. "They want to know who we are." He looked at his crew, a small team of scientists, engineers, and dreamers who had risked everything. "Then let us show them." The horizon released its own signal. Not alien, not stolen. A song of human will carried through radio waves and light. It was clumsy, imperfect, but filled with intent, a message that said, "We are here, we are ready, we are not afraid." For hours, the two sides exchanged signals, back and forth, light meeting light, sound meeting sound. Humanity's first dialogue with the stars was not in words, but in defiance. And then, slowly, the alien fleet shifted, one by one. The massive ships turned, their forms glowing as they slid back into the dark. They did not strike. They did not conquer. They simply left. The silence that followed was heavier than war. Humanity stood stunned. Leaders searched for meaning. Some called it mercy. Some called it warning. But Elena knew better. The aliens had not left in anger. They had left in acknowledgement. Humanity had taken a signal never meant for them. They had broken rules they did not understand. But in doing so, they had shown something the galaxy could not ignore. They were not thieves, not prey. They were a new voice, loud enough to be heard. Weeks later, the horizon landed. Its crew stepped out to the cheers of millions. They were not soldiers, not rulers, but pioneers, symbols of a future no one had imagined. Children carried their names on banners. Songs were written. Stories spread across every nation. Elena stood in the crowd, her eyes wet with pride and fear. She knew the truth. The galaxy was vast, filled with powers older and stronger than humanity. But now those powers had seen humans, and they would never forget. History would remember the signal as the day humanity stepped into the unknown, the day they chose not to surrender, not to be silent, the day they declared themselves. Across the stars, echoes of the signal still moved, carrying two truths side by side. One carved by alien hands, warning, not for humans, and another born from human defiance, whispering back, but humans changed everything. The legacy was written. Humanity would never again be unseen, never again be unheard. They had entered the galaxy, and the galaxy would never be the same.